So I have the pleasure, I hope, yes, to welcome our guest from the European Commission, Christophe HANSEN, who is Commissioner for Agriculture and Food. And I'm also calling to the podium our colleague SCHAUVLIEGE and Roberto Ciambetti, rapporteurs, European Vision for Agriculture and Food, and also Roberto on Market Regulation and Support Measures in the Wine Sector. I invite everybody to the floor. Welcome, Commissioner.
Nice to meet you.
Please. Thank you very much. And I know you have a very tight schedule, so we'll try. Okay. Agriculture is, we could debate on it for, I think, 2 days at least. So I'll give the floor right away for you for some short introductions, because we have a lot of members who would like to address you. So the shorter you are, the more time you give them. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And first of all, I would like to thank you, President Tutu. It is a pleasure to be here and speak in front of the plenary of the Committee of the Regions. And I would like to thank the committee for these two very important opinions on the vision for agriculture and food from Rapporteur SCHAUVLIEGE and the market regulations and support measures in the wine sector from Roberto Ciambetti. And both opinions are very timely and welcome, and as representatives of Europe's regions, your voice must be heard. And maybe let me start with the vision which responds directly to the key demands voiced by farmers last year. You all remember when they took it to the streets here in Brussels, but as well in other parts of Europe. And of course, they had three main demands: fairer income, so good prices for their quality products; less bureaucracy, but as well more reciprocity when it comes to international trade. And this vision sets our clear priorities for the future of European agriculture, and it explains how we aim to achieve them, while also recognizing that the diversity of farming across Europe's regions is one of our greatest strengths as well. And the challenges are also very diverse. A farm in the Austrian Alps might face different challenges than a farm in Finland or in Cyprus. And I can tell you, I visited meanwhile 19 member states, and when in the same week you are in Sweden and in Cyprus, it is a very diverse agriculture that we have in the European Union. So our response to today's challenges therefore cannot be one size fits all, and it has to be tailored and territorial, while at the same time ensuring the big C of the common agriculture policy. And while facing many challenges, farmers, fishers and the food industry are as well, for me, part of the solution to build a strong and resilient agri-food sector, and we will design these solutions pragmatically and in consultation with them. And we have moved very quickly. As you know, the European Commission has already presented the first sets of proposals. We began with the wine package, and I will return to this shortly, followed as well by a simplification package. But also in the beginning of the mandate, in the second week of the mandate, we have addressed the price issue with a reform of the Common Market Organisation and the Unfair Trading Practices Directive. And we also presented the Water Resilience Strategy and launched the livestock work stream on the Water Resilience Strategy. I believe that my colleague Jessica Roswell will join you later to give you more details on that, but of course I contributed strongly to that one. And a major initiative that will soon come our way is as well the generational renewal strategy. Before then, and just in a couple of weeks, the Commission plans also to present its budget proposal alongside the legal proposal for the future common agriculture policy. But as you know, in the vision for the future of agriculture, food, there is one main tenet, and that is the generational renewal, because I believe we have to give back the predictability and as well the right environment for young people to thrive again in this job. And I have to say, it is quite worrying when you see the figures of our agricultural demography. Less than 12% of our EU farmers are below the age of 40, and the average age is above 57 years of age. So if we don't act now, we will lose the next generation of farmers, and by that as well lose our food security and food sovereignty that we are currently having. And turning to the future common agriculture policy, in my opinion, it has to be simpler and reduce excessive administrative burden for farmers. It should also be more targeted, shifting from conditions to more incentives. And since farming income is still too low compared to the average wages in the economy, we intend to keep income support. And again, it should be better targeted, for example, for young and new farmers in areas with natural constraints, and mixed farms. But I am of course very happy as well to hear your ideas on this point, to have a fairer agriculture policy. And farmers should continue to benefit from investment support and crisis and risk management tools. And on the green architecture of the future CAP, here the aim is to define a clearer balance between regulatory incentives-based approaches, shifting from conditions to incentives, and simplifying the current system of conditionality. And in all this, of course, Europe's regions have a tremendous responsibility and a crucial role to play. They have the unique ability to tailor strategies to their specific agricultural landscapes, supporting innovation and as well addressing local challenges. And however, I take note as well of your views concerning the regional dimension of the CAP to bring policy options into line with specific place and sector-based characteristics. And we are very committed to working closely with the regional authorities to ensure that the CAP continues to support sustainable and resilient agriculture practices that benefit communities across Europe. And the CAP after 2027 can be adjusted to address current challenges by evolving its strategies and instruments rather than calling for another root and branch reform. And also I always say, and that is broadly shared with the ministers, we have to go for an evolution rather than a revolution of the common agriculture policy. And by discussing and by working together, I think we can further develop an agriculture sector that will serve Europe's people, farmers and food industry as well, and also serve as a pillar of its sovereignty and its prosperity. Let me now turn as well to the wine package. The European Commission is of course committed to supporting the wine sector, and it is important for economic and social development in many EU rural regions. But as you know, the sector faces several major challenges all over Europe. There are, of course, the shifting consumer trends, especially young people are turning away from wine, have different preferences, but as well we have and are facing climate change and market uncertainties, particularly when it comes to exports. I think I don't have to mention the current tensions that we have with the United States, and hopefully we have a negotiated agreement before the deadline of the 9th of July. And the wine package comes, of course, as a result of the Commission's quick response to the recommendations of the high-level group on wine policy, where Member States, but as well the sector, is represented. And the package addresses most of the group's recommendations that can be carried out quickly with support measures. And it aims to ensure that the European wine sector remains competitive and resilient, and a vital socio-economic force in many regions and rural areas. And in this context, we wanted to strengthen and support as well wine tourism to better highlight the link between viticulture and local and regional development. And with more instruments and greater flexibility, it will allow national and regional authorities to design and implement regional strategies that are more suitable to their needs. And I would like to thank members of the Committee of Regions for your wide support for the wine package and for swiftly adopting your opinion. And the committee plays, in my opinion, a very vital role in ensuring the democratic legitimacy of EU policy across Europe and in reflecting on the EU regional diversity as well as the effects that EU policies have at local level. And in this regard, your opinion for me is most valuable. And this is exactly what the EU wine sector is about, as the opinion rightly says. And the wine sector is a cultural pillar that defines the diversity and the identity of many EU regions. And it is also an economic and social pillar of many rural areas. And I'm very grateful that all EU institutions are committed to seeing the wine package adopted quickly. The opinion of the Committee of Regions is a key element for the forthcoming work of the co-legislators. I would like to thank you for that contribution and those valuable opinions. We would have a lot more to discuss when it comes to the future CAP, as well to the further simplification steps that we have launched already with the first CAP focused simplification package, but maybe we will get another opportunity in the future. So now I'm looking forward to get your comments as well on those two opinions, but as well on other points if you wish so. Thank you very much.
We absolutely do. Thank you very much for coming to the Committee of the Regions. And now I will give the floor first to SCHAUVLIEGE, who is rapporteur on vision for agriculture and food.
Thank you, President. Thank you, Commissioner. And dear colleagues, I will continue in Flemish. Dank u wel, commissaris, voor uw zeer waardevolle uiteenzetting die heel veel hoopvolle woorden omvat. Ik hoef u niet uit te leggen, en ook aan de collega's niet, dat landbouw en voedselproductie altijd een heel belangrijke rol heeft gespeeld in de geschiedenis van Europa. En ik ben ervan overtuigd dat ook in de toekomst landbouw en voedselveiligheid en voedselvoorziening een heel belangrijke rol zal spelen. Laat ons niet vergeten, en het wordt te weinig gezegd, dat voedselproductie en landbouw een strategische sector is. Wanneer we afhankelijk worden van derde landen voor ons voedsel, dan maakt ons dat als Europa bijzonder kwetsbaar. In de huidige internationale context wordt dit veel te weinig benadrukt. Laat ons dus de voedselproductie in onze eigen Europese handen houden. Maar daarvoor hebben we natuurlijk voldoende starters nodig. Economisch succes in de landbouw is essentieel om jonge mensen aan te trekken en de daling van het aantal landbouwers tegen te gaan. Marktreguleringsmechanismen zoals publieke voorraden of maatregelen voor het beheersen van het aanbod kunnen een doeltreffende aanvulling vormen op rechtstreekse betalingen. We moeten ook middelen vrijmaken om landbouwers te ondersteunen in de groene transitie en ook om marktprijzen te stabiliseren. De gemeenschappelijke marktordening moet ervoor zorgen dat kopers verplicht worden landbouwproducten aan te kopen tegen een prijs die de productiekost dekt. Het controleren van importsystemen of het opzetten van een nieuw waarnemingscentrum voor landbouwprijzen zou een stap in de goede richting kunnen zijn. Maar dat is niet voldoende. We moeten de internationale concurrentie regelen. Voedsel is geen handelswaar zoals andere handelswaren. De EU als grootste importeur en exporteur van voedsel in de wereld moet verandering in de internationale regels voor landbouwhandel nastreven, om op die manier eerlijkheid en inclusiviteit te bevorderen. Europa kan niet van de landbouwers vragen dat zij inspanningen doen op het vlak van milieu-impact of volksgezondheid en tegelijkertijd toestaan dat landen met lage productiekosten niet aan die voorwaarden moeten voldoen. Het is noodzakelijk om spiegelclausules op te nemen in zowel onze bestaande als toekomstige Europese handelsakkoorden. Ik geef u ook mee, commissaris, dat wij het als comité van de regio ook bijzonder betreuren dat de focus op voedsel in het geheel is teruggeschroefd. Wij hopen dat we daar later zeker nog kunnen op terugkomen. Wij zijn wel blij dat er een voorstel is om jaarlijks naar voedseldialogen te gaan en dat men op die manier ook kan werken met voedselsystemen. En voor ons als lokale en regionale overheden willen wij benadrukken dat we daar een heel belangrijke rol in spelen. Zo zijn er heel veel steden, gemeenten, regio's die heel wat doen op het vlak van voedselsystemen, voedselstrategieën. Ook wij in Vlaanderen, wij hebben een eigen voedselstrategie en wij werken daar heel consequent aan. Je kan dat doen op heel eenvoudige schaal. We denken aan boerenmarkten, korte keteninitiatieven, maar bijvoorbeeld ook via de aanbestedingen van gezond en duurzaam voedsel in publieke kantines, zoals in scholen of bijvoorbeeld in verzorgingsinstellingen, ziekenhuizen en dergelijke meer. Wij reiken dus de hand aan de Europese Commissie, want wij als lokale en regionale overheden hebben heel veel expertise, kunnen heel veel bijdragen en kunnen bottom-up heel wat werken aan die voedselsystemen. Dus wij zouden heel graag een vaste partner worden in die voedseldialogen, maar ook in het verder uitwerken van het gemeenschappelijk landbouwbeleid. Dank u wel.
Thank you so much. The floor goes now Roberto Giampetti, who's rapporteur on market regulations and support measures in the wine sector.
Grazie Presidente. Un ringraziamento particolare al commissario HANSEN per la sua presenza e per il lavoro che sta facendo a favore dell'agricoltura europea. L'Unione Europea è leader globale a livello mondiale nella produzione di vino, ha il 60% della produzione e del consumo il 48% e nel valore delle esportazioni il 60%. Tuttavia i cambiamenti sociali e demografici stanno influenzando la quantità, la qualità e i tipi di vino consumati. Il consumo di vino è infatti al livello più basso degli ultimi 3 decenni. Guardando la distribuzione geografica del vigneto, l'Unione Europea nel 2024 i dati parlano di 3,2 milioni di ettari di vigneti, con un meno 0,8% rispetto all'anno precedente. Le modeste espansioni andate in aumento in Italia, Romania e Grecia non hanno compensato le rimozioni dei vigneti. A livello nazionale la Spagna è il più grande vigneto al mondo, copre 930.000 ettari nel 2024, ma ne ha persi 14.500 negli ultimi anni. Poi c'è la Francia e dopo ancora l'Italia. L'Italia comunque continua il suo trend positivo raggiungendo i 728.000 ettari complessivi, più 0,8% rispetto al 2023. Tra i 7 vigneti più grandi al mondo l'Italia è l'unica a registrare questo dato positivo. La progressiva diminuzione dei consumi è stata influenzata anche dall'evoluzione degli stili di vita, dalle mutate abitudini sociali, dai cambiamenti generazionali. Il risultato è che 15 dei primi 20 mercati al mondo hanno registrato una riduzione dei consumi dal 2023 al 2024. In questo quadro generale di continua evoluzione che appunto è intervenuta la Commissione europea e che ha presentato questa proposta di modifica al regolamento volta a sostenere il settore vitivinicolo e in particolare a prevenire gli squilibri di mercato e promuovere l'occupazione rurale, rafforzare la competitività dei viticoltori e dei produttori di vini. Queste modifiche di regolamento hanno dei punti principali, ad esempio il regolamento appunto sui piani strategici nazionali e della politica agricola comune, il regolamento di definizione, la designazione e la presentazione di un'unica etichettatura dei prodotti vitivinicoli aromatizzati. Nel maggio 2024 la Commissione ha istituito una high level group sul vino e al termine dei lavori, nel dicembre 2024, il gruppo ha pubblicato un insieme di raccomandazioni strategiche che si concentrano su 3 macro aree di intervento: gestione del potenziale produttivo con misure finalizzate ad adeguarlo al calo strutturale della domanda, rafforzamento della resilienza nel settore in risposta all'evoluzione del mercato e poi appunto anche l'obiettivo di cogliere comunque le opportunità nuove di mercato. Parallelamente il nostro Comitato lo scorso 3 aprile ha istituito il gruppo interregionale del vino Natura Economia, Wine, con l'impegno di sostenere lo sviluppo rurale e rappresentare gli interessi delle regioni vitivinicole europee nelle politiche dell'Unione. Un approccio regionale particolarmente urgente per settori chiave come la produzione del vino, che impiega 3 milioni di persone nell'Unione Europea e di fatto una pietra angolare dell'economia europea, in particolare nelle zone rurali e nelle aree interne. Il parere si basa quindi su analisi tecniche, dati di produzione e consumo a livello europeo e internazionale e incontri con stakeholder. Oltre a quelli a livello europeo ho fatto incontri anche puntuali sul territorio, ascoltando pareri che arrivano un po' da tutta Europa. Ricordo gli amici della Rioja, il Burgenland, gli amici della Manzanilla e della Sherry in Andalusia, i vini dell'Istria, nonché i maggiori vigneti italiani, dal Brunello al Chianti, al Montepulciano, al Franciacorta, al Prosecco, al Coglio e al Valpolicella. Raccogliendo appunto queste istanze, ho scritto questo parere che appunto va a sostenere la modifica del regolamento e cito i punti principali sui quali siamo intervenuti. Positiva è l'eliminazione delle sanzioni per il mancato utilizzo delle autorizzazioni concesse da conversione di diritto dell'impianto, che deve essere accompagnato da procedure di finanziamento più semplificate, armonizzazione delle etichette, scambi agili tra Stati membri, accesso alle informazioni più trasparente da parte dei consumatori, oltre all'invito di procedere in modo proporzionato in tema di etichettatura. L'immissione di prodotti innovativi sul mercato, tema che ha molto impegnato la discussione di questo parere, deve essere accompagnata in maniera chiara rispetto al consumatore. Quindi su questo tema dei prodotti no alcol e low alcol c'è bisogno di informare il consumatore, ma soprattutto spiegare che questi prodotti sono energivori, consumano tanta energia e mettono tanto zucchero, e questo va contro a quello che abbiamo fatto negli ultimi anni. Poi entreremo eventualmente nel dibattito degli emendamenti, ma appunto il parere molti di voi lo hanno già approfondito e visto in maniera puntuale e precisa. Grazie.
Grazie. In theory, if everybody would speak from now on 1 minute, it's in theory, everybody could get the floor. But I know, I will give the floor, as originally was agreed on, for the minutes, Piotr Kabrecki. Just, if everybody can shorten it, more people can take the floor.
Thank you very much. I will speak in Polish. Pani Przewodnicząca, Panie Komisarzu, sprawozdawcy, chciałbym szczególnie podziękować Roberto Giambettiemu za zorganizowanie w Wenecji wspaniałego spotkania Komisji NAT, gdzie rozmawialiśmy o winiarstwie i cała nasza komisja popiera przygotowany tam dokument, naszą opinię w tej sprawie. Panie Komisarzu, w niełatwej roli Pan staje, ponieważ trwamy w kryzysie rolniczym w Unii Europejskiej. To jest fakt i nie widać końca tego kryzysu. Zachowanie pierwszego, drugiego filaru WPR-u to w ogóle minimum, ale zwróćmy uwagę na ochronę wspólnego rynku rolnego. Mercosur, Ukraina to przykłady nieuczciwego działania w tym obszarze i niechronienia europejskiego rynku rolnego. Nieuczciwe praktyki handlowe. Dotacje, które otrzymują rolnicy, zżerają nieuczciwi handlujący maszynami rolniczymi. Ceny kombajnów w Polsce wzrosły od wejścia w Unię Europejską kilkakrotnie, a opłacalność produkcji, czyli cena pszenicy, jest cały czas od 10-15 lat taka sama. Minimum opłacalności, jeżeli chcemy zachować kulturowość naszej wsi, czyli pozostawić małe gospodarstwa, musimy wprowadzić odważny system minimum opłacalności produkcji rolnej. Potrzebne są wymogi środowiskowe, tak, ale takie, które są w stanie być pokryte z innych funduszy niż wspólna polityka rolna, tak aby odciążyć od tych kosztów rolników. No i biurokratyzacja, która musi się naprawdę zmienić. I ostatnia nasza wielka prośba o regionalizację. Nie poradzą sobie władze centralne dużych państw z problemem rolnictwa, jeśli nie przekażą tych problemów do strategii regionalnych i tam, żeby były wdrażane. Życzę panu komisarzowi powodzenia i liczę na dobrą współpracę z Komisją NAT.
Thank you. The floor goes now to Thibault Guignard.
Merci Madame la Présidente, Monsieur le Commissaire, chers collègues. J'ai eu l'honneur de participer au dialogue stratégique sur l'avenir de l'agriculture et je voudrais rappeler ce que j'ai eu l'occasion de dire à cette occasion. C'est l'importance du deuxième pilier de la politique agricole commune et le FEADER, notamment pour le développement rural. Le message est très clair, nous avons besoin de développer nos zones rurales pour accueillir de nouveaux agriculteurs. Vous avez parlé tout à l'heure de renouvellement des générations, que ce soit des agriculteurs issus de la filière ou des agriculteurs qui viennent d'autres milieux que le milieu de l'agriculture, eh bien nous ne pourrons attirer des nouveaux exploitants que si nous pouvons les accueillir dans une ruralité qui propose également des écoles, des modes de transport, l'accès à la santé, l'accès aux loisirs, etc. Et donc il est particulièrement important que la prochaine PAC puisse laisser la place aussi à un FEADER renforcé en faveur des zones rurales. Et je salue à cette occasion la volonté de la Commission européenne et du Conseil d'activer les différents fonds européens en synergie pour favoriser le développement rural. Je vous remercie.
Merci beaucoup. Alessio Mammi.
Grazie Presidente, grazie Commissario. L'agricoltura è un settore irrinunciabile, insostituibile, perché significa sicurezza alimentare, significa gestione del territorio, valore economico, posti di lavoro, imprese e anche un grande patrimonio culturale, identitario della nostra Europa ed è anche importante per la nostra autonomia democratica, perché un continente che non è capace di produrre cibo è più debole anche sul piano democratico. Però vive un momento di grandi difficoltà e dobbiamo essere grati, ringraziare tutti i nostri agricoltori per quello che stanno facendo anche in queste ore terribili, segnati dalle temperature eccessive, ma anche da concorrenze sleali, da competitività, dai problemi dei cambiamenti climatici. Vengo da una regione che ha sofferto molto sui cambiamenti climatici, penso alle alluvioni, alle gelate, agli anni di siccità. L'Europa si fonda sull'agricoltura, è nata sull'agricoltura se pensiamo alla politica agricola comune. E ora è giusto ed è necessario passare dalle parole ai fatti, dare un futuro alla nostra agricoltura, salvaguardando innanzitutto la produttività delle nostre imprese agricole. Le imprese agricole hanno difficoltà nelle produzioni vegetali, non riescono più a salvare le produzioni vegetali dagli effetti devastanti del surriscaldamento globale. Lo vediamo nei mesi scorsi, lo vediamo in tante parti d'Europa. E stupisce che sia stato presentato un emendamento al parere che faremo dopo, il numero 27, che invece va nella direzione opposta, non riconosce gli effetti devastanti dei cambiamenti climatici. Dobbiamo poi garantire qualità ambientale e sociale, garantire un equo reddito, un giusto prezzo ai nostri agricoltori. Troppo spesso vediamo sugli scaffali dei nostri supermercati prezzi alti che pagano i cittadini e prezzi bassissimi che vengono riconosciuti ai nostri produttori agricoli e questo è inaccettabile. Allora per fare questo bisogna aiutarli a investire, a fare investimenti per la digitalizzazione, per la competitività. Bisognerebbe anche probabilmente rivedere la normativa sugli aiuti di Stato, perché intensità di aiuto sugli investimenti agricoli che arrivano al 40% in alcuni casi sono troppo bassi. Bisogna investire sulla ricerca, sulla conoscenza, sull'innovazione per avere nuove varietà, soprattutto vegetali, più produttive e resistenti ai cambiamenti climatici, utilizzando anche le biotecnologie. Bisogna garantire il giusto prezzo e il giusto reddito, quindi reciprocità nei rapporti commerciali globali. Le regole europee devono valere anche per i prodotti importati in Europa, favorire gli accordi di filiera, perché non esiste l'agroindustria senza l'agricoltura. E naturalmente dobbiamo contrastare le politiche sleali, le pratiche sleali anche dentro le filiere, perché gli agricoltori devono avere il giusto prezzo. Per fare tutto questo, Commissario, noi abbiamo bisogno di capire, e dobbiamo capirlo oggi, quante risorse avremo a disposizione nel prossimo bilancio pluriennale. Noi abbiamo bisogno di mettere più risorse per l'agricoltura, non meno risorse rispetto al passato. E abbiamo bisogno che l'agricoltura abbia un fondo dedicato, una sua politica agricola, con due pilastri, come è stato finora, con le innovazioni che saranno necessarie, ma senza mettere l'agricoltura insieme ad altri fondi come i fondi di coesione, come i fondi strutturali. E in questo il ruolo delle regioni è decisivo e determinante. Non possiamo estromettere le regioni dalle decisioni che sull'agricoltura dovranno essere prese. Grazie.
Grazie. Cécile Galin.
Madame la Présidente, Monsieur le Commissaire, bonjour à tous. La PAC, c'est 60 ans d'histoire pour garantir la viabilité et la durabilité de nos exploitations agricoles partout en Europe, y compris dans les territoires aux contraintes géographiques particulières. Je pense aux îles, je pense aux montagnes notamment. L'agriculture, c'est l'Union européenne. L'agriculture est confrontée aujourd'hui à toutes ces crises climatiques, ces crises géopolitiques, l'instabilité des marchés, les pressions sur les revenus et cette transition écologique que nous devons réussir. Dans le cadre du prochain CFP, nous sommes en faveur, bien sûr, du maintien des 2 piliers de la PAC, mais nous soutenons aussi l'idée ambitieuse d'un 3e pilier qui est conçu pour offrir un filet de sécurité aux agriculteurs en difficulté. Ce 3e pilier pourrait être agile, ciblé, pensé pour les moments de crise, les sécheresses, les inondations, la flambée des prix de l'énergie, mais aussi la menace de disparition d'exploitations agricoles, notamment familiales ou notamment dans l'élevage, ou la chute brutale de revenus. Notre groupe défend une agriculture durable, compétitive et juste. Nous pensons que ce 3e pilier peut être fondé sur la solidarité, sur la transformation. Il doit accompagner les agriculteurs vers de l'innovation, vers l'adaptation aux nouveaux modèles, vers le respect aussi des sols, de l'eau et de la biodiversité. Cette politique agricole commune doit s'accompagner, tout le monde l'a dit ici, par un développement rural. Trop souvent, les communes rurales font face parfois à l'exode des jeunes, parfois à la disparition des services publics ou à la disparition des exploitations agricoles. Le développement rural est fondamental, il ne doit pas être relégué au second plan. C'est un levier essentiel d'attractivité de nos territoires. Je rappellerai que l'industrie est aussi présente au cœur de nos territoires ruraux. C'est par exemple 30% de l'emploi industriel en France, en ruralité. Ces activités touristiques, commerciales, de santé, éducatives au cœur de nos ruralités doivent être maintenues et innovantes. Et bien évidemment, il en va de l'engagement de l'Europe, mais aussi de l'écoute des autorités locales et régionales qui sont les plus à même de connaître la géographie, les géographies, les besoins et les attentes de la population. C'est ainsi qu'une Europe sera, et nous le souhaitons, moderne, solidaire, à l'écoute des territoires. Je rappellerai que 75% de l'espace européen, c'est les espaces ruraux, ce sont les espaces ruraux. Ces espaces ruraux sont vitaux pour l'Europe. Ils sont une chance pour l'Europe.
Thank you very much, Władysław Ortyl.
Dziękuję bardzo Pani Przewodnicząca, Panie Komisarzu. W imieniu grupy EKR chcę serdecznie Pana Komisarza powitać na tej sesji i stwierdzić, że dziś, kiedy rozmawiamy o przyszłości rolnictwa w kontekście wspólnej polityki rolnej po 2027 roku, chcę powiedzieć, że nie możemy jedynie ograniczyć się do wyznaczania celów. Samo ustalenie celów to za mało. Ma ono szczególne znaczenie w przypadku zobowiązań środowiskowych w ramach wspólnej polityki rolnej, które mogą nakładać nadmierne obciążenia na rolników i podważać wspólną funkcję tej polityki, jaką jest wsparcie dochodów z rolnictwa i stabilność tego sektora. Środki pierwszego filaru wspólnej polityki rolnej, zwłaszcza bezpośrednie płatności, to de facto jedyny taki realny instrument, który wspiera dochody rolników. Powinny one być przyznawane niezależnie od spełnienia wymogów środowiskowych. Nie muszę przypominać, że bardzo napięta jest dziś sytuacja geopolityczna i dlatego zapewnienie stabilnych dostaw żywności w Europie jest po prostu kluczowe. Musimy chronić, wzmacniać nasze łańcuchy dostaw w kontekście silnych napięć na rynkach światowych. W kontekście europejskiej strategii gotowości rolnictwo powinno być dodatkowo wzmocnione, aby Unia była lepiej przygotowana do reagowania na kryzysy. Zanim przejdziemy jednak do konkretnych rozwiązań, uważam, że konieczna jest całościowa ocena skutków prawodawstwa związanego z Zielonym Ładem. Powinniśmy przeanalizować jego wpływ na sektor spożywczy i rolniczy, uwzględniając spójność regulacyjną, konkurencyjność oraz zdolność sektora do zapewnienia bezpieczeństwa żywnościowego. W związku z trwającą debatą nad wieloletnimi ramami finansowymi przypominam o potrzebie zagwarantowania odrębnego budżetu dla wspólnej polityki rolnej. Jako marszałek województwa podkarpackiego pragnę podkreślić, że dalsze wsparcie Ukrainy jest sprawą kluczową, ale nie powinniśmy zapominać, że to wsparcie powinno mieć charakter trwały i ułatwiać integrację Ukrainy z Ukrainą. Równie ważne jest to, by europejscy rolnicy i producenci nie ponosili nieproporcjonalnych kosztów tej solidarności. Na koniec chciałbym pogratulować panu Robertowi Ciambettiemu znakomitej opinii w sprawie działań na rzecz ożywienia unijnego sektora winiarskiego, sektora, który jest częścią dziedzictwa kulturowego, a także kluczowym ogniwem wielowiekowej tradycji. Tradycja, dziedzictwo to też dźwignia rozwoju Europy. Pamiętajmy, że to podejście regionalne może się realizować też w wymiarze enoturystyki. Dziękuję.
Thank you, Caroline Dwayne.
Thanks, Madam President. As we look forward to the post-2027 Common Agricultural Policy, the Committee of the Regions firmly believes that our farmers and rural communities must remain at the heart of Europe's agricultural vision. They are not just food producers, they are guardians of our landscapes, our cultural heritage and our food sovereignty. We welcome the Commission's emphasis on agriculture as a strategic sector, yet we stress the need for a stronger regional and local dimension in the CAP. A one-size-fits-all policy cannot reflect the diverse challenges faced by our regions, from mountain farmers to coastal communities. Our communities must be empowered in the governance of strategic plans with the flexibility to respond swiftly in times of local crisis. The CAP must be more than a subsidy tool. It must ensure fair incomes, especially for young and small-scale farmers. We advocate for simplified income support tools and a stronger market regulation, including mechanisms to prevent the sale of products below production cost. Equity must guide our reforms. Small and medium-sized farms are the backbone of European agriculture, yet they often struggle to compete. The post-2027 CAP should ensure fair distribution of funds with specific support for smaller farms, young farmers and rural communities. This includes access to markets, training and infrastructure development. By levelling the playing field, we can foster a vibrant and diverse agricultural landscape. Let me stress the green transition must go hand in hand with social justice. If we ask farmers to do more for climate and biodiversity, we must match that with adequate financial support and practical solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristin Helen Bille.
Thank you, President. And to the rapporteurs, of course. I think there is enough evidence, scientific evidence, that confirms that agriculture, alongside with transport and energy, it is a major source of greenhouse gas emissions. If we pretend otherwise, we're not helping our farmers. We put them at greater risk by stalling the transition they need, and they need a support for. We strongly believe that the strive towards practices that work with nature rather than against it, that will enhance the biodiversity, reduce dependency on synthetic inputs and build resilience to climate but also external shocks. Sound water and healthy soils, that is actually the things that will give us better yields, but it will also protect the thing that we're taking that for granted, but it will also protect the yields from the farmers. I think that you can see it now. We are right now facing intense and prolonged heat waves. We can see our crops suffering, and we can see that our soils are drying out. It will not be against this backdrop. Dismissing climate responsibility in the agriculture sector is not just misguided. It is increasingly detached from the lived reality on the ground. And therefore, I will also put the attention to the amendment that has been mentioned before on Joke Schaufflige's opinion, because we have red lines on the amendments 21 and 27, which actually take the responsibility off the shoulders of the agriculture. They are not more supposed to participate in the climate change and the green transition. We will not take that lightly, so we might have to not support the opinion as a whole if they are voted in. Let us not shy away from honest conversations. We should recognise the challenges and we should be responsible, future-oriented and aligned with the expectations of the next generations of Europeans.
Thank you. 1 minute interventions. I will take the sound. Adrian Citelli Ferrari.
Gracias, Presidenta. Señor Comisario, valoramos positivamente las líneas estratégicas presentadas en la visión para el futuro de la agricultura, con iniciativas claves como el relevo generacional o los paquetes de simplificación. Confiamos en que las futuras propuestas de la PAC respondan a estos objetivos y reflejen adecuadamente el necesario equilibrio entre la sostenibilidad ambiental, social y económica. Por otro lado, las regiones españolas estamos muy preocupadas por los mensajes que nos llegan sobre la nueva configuración de la PAC en el marco financiero post-2027. En este sentido, hemos promovido una posición común que ya le hemos hecho llegar y que resumiré en 2 mensajes. El sector agroalimentario de la Unión necesita más que nunca un apoyo decisivo, con políticas que ofrezcan estabilidad y certidumbre a los agricultores. Debe considerarse un sector estratégico, garante de la soberanía, la sostenibilidad y la seguridad alimentarias. Y en este sentido exigimos que el futuro marco financiero plurianual refleje adecuadamente esta ambición con una financiación ambiciosa, fuerte y creíble, una PAC que mantenga sus 2 pilares y con un presupuesto específico e independiente. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Mariette van Leuven.
Yes, I will continue in Dutch. De Nederlandse land- en tuinbouw hebben een unieke positie in Europa. Het GLB heeft altijd een cruciale rol gespeeld in het ondersteunen van onze boeren en het waarborgen van voedselzekerheid in Europa. De huidige ontwikkelingen en uitdagingen rondom voedselzekerheid, klimaatverandering en milieu vragen daar juist nu om. Als Nederlandse provincies vinden we dat het GLB moet bijdragen aan een sterke economische positie voor onze boeren en tegelijkertijd moet zorgen voor gezond en betaalbaar voedsel. Het GLB moet boeren ondersteunen bij het overnemen, starten of omschakelen naar duurzame landbouwbedrijven. Jonge boeren en zij-instromers verdienen speciale aandacht, met ruimte voor kennisdeling, bedrijfsontwikkeling en mentorschap. We vinden het belangrijk dat het GLB maatwerk biedt, met eerlijke beloning en langetermijn contractzekerheid. Zo kunnen boeren vertrouwen op investeren in oplossingen. We pleiten voor een GLB dat aansluit bij de unieke Nederlandse landbouwstructuur met ruimte voor collectieven. Zo bouwen we samen aan een duurzaam, veerkrachtig en regionaal verbonden landbouwbeleid dat goed is voor boeren, consumenten en het milieu. Dank u.
Thank you. Igor Andrović.
Poštovana predsjednice, poštovani povjereniče HANSEN, obraćam se u ime Slavonije, Baranje i Srijema, Hrvatske regije sastavljene od 5 županija koje se još uvijek snažno oslanjaju na poljoprivredu. Više od 23% stanovnika Hrvatske ima preko 65 godina, a samo 11,4% mladih do 40 vode poljoprivredna gospodarstva. U ruralnim područjima živi 46% stanovništva, gotovo dvostruko više nego u Europskoj uniji. Zato zajednička poljoprivredna politika mora snažno poduprijeti mlade koji žele preuzeti obiteljska gospodarstva, ostati u ruralnim sredinama i unaprijediti proizvodnju. Ključne mjere uključuju početne potpore za pokretanje gospodarstva, porezne i administrativne olakšice, veći pristup poljoprivrednom zemljištu, stručno savjetovanje, edukaciju i bolji pristup tehnologiji i tržištu kako je predloženo u dokumentu A Vision for EU Agriculture and Food 2040.
Thank you, Loredana Capone. No, then Nanette Mauperti.
Thank you, President. Monsieur le Commissaire, la politique agricole commune doit rester une politique communautaire, différenciée et lisible, portée par une vision de long terme. La tentation d'en faire une politique fusionnée, renationalisée dans des documents uniques serait une erreur stratégique et politique. Elle diluerait son sens, sa force et sa capacité d'action sur le terrain. La Corse, que je représente ici, est la région métropolitaine française la plus dépendante aux importations alimentaires. Elle est aussi celle qui a le taux de précarité, notamment de précarité alimentaire, la plus élevé. C'est pourquoi nous demandons que les aides couplées à la production dans les territoires en difficulté puissent dépasser les 15% plafonnés au niveau des États membres sans risque de distorsion. Que soient renforcés les soutiens aux élevages traditionnels, aux petites filières locales, aux organisations de producteurs via les politiques sectorielles et que soient intégrés dans la PAC des mécanismes spécifiques pour les territoires en handicap permanent, notamment les îles, conformément à l'article 174 du traité de l'Union européenne. Merci.
Merci. Karácsony Ádám.
Tisztelt elnök asszony, biztos úr! Amikor a mezőgazdaság jövőjéről gondolkodunk, két fő aspektust kell figyelembe vennünk. Egyrészt, hogy a mezőgazdaság az egyik legfontosabb ágazat, mely hozzájárul az EU stratégiai biztonságához, másrészt viszont az egyik legsérülékenyebb is egyben, amely egyre nehezedő körülményekkel néz szembe. Fontos, hogy a KAP 2027 után is erős, önálló és megfelelően finanszírozott szakpolitika maradjon. Szükség van a közvetlen támogatások megtartására, melyek az elmúlt évek válsághelyzeteiben valódi védőhálóként működtek. Létfontosságú a KAP kétpilléres szerkezetének megőrzése. Időszerű gondolkodnunk olyan megoldásokról, mint a carbon farming vagy a biomassa alapú gazdálkodás, de ezek csak kiegészítő jelleggel a közvetlen támogatások mellett értelmezhetőek. Összegezve tehát a KAP jelenlegi modellje a hibáival együtt is képes a támogatások megfelelő szakpolitikai alapon történő elosztására.
Köszönöm szépen. Miriam Sterk.
Thank you, President. In my work, I've spoken to countless of young farmers that only lack one thing, their perspective. And we talk about their future today. As the Commissioner said, we need to give back the predictability. There are a lot of issues facing our young farmers: climate change, biodiversity loss, and increasing demand for sustainability. But there's hope. Young farmers across Europe are ready to step up with passion and innovative ideas. Let's ensure that at least 5% of the CAP budget supports them and that we reduce their administrative burden. Farmers deserve fair incomes, not only for producing food, but also for the green and blue services they provide. This requires a strong focus on regional diversity. A single national plan risks overlooking essential local needs. At least 30% of the CAP budget should be allocated to eco-schemes and agri-environmental measures. And we also call for a strong support for circularity, short supply chains and social and technological innovation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. José Manuel Caballero Serrano.
Muchas gracias. Gracias, señor comisario, por sus palabras. La verdad es que la música suena bien. Ahora hay que comprobar y verificar dentro de poco que la letra se acompaña también en este sentido. Sería incomprensible, absolutamente incomprensible, que viendo la unanimidad que existe en esta representación de las regiones y viendo también cómo los grupos principales del Parlamento Europeo apoyan que se mantenga, incluso se incremente el presupuesto de la PAC y la configuración que ha venido teniendo hasta ahora, hubiera un cambio en la dirección contraria. No tiene lógica. No tiene sentido. Es evidente que el sector agrario es un sector estratégico, nos permite, como se ha dicho ya a lo largo de las intervenciones, tener independencia. Es un sector que además nos permite defendernos frente a la situación geopolítica tan convulsa que hay en la actualidad y, desde luego, también es algo incomprensible que nos hayamos puesto de acuerdo los países de la Unión Europea con distintas ideologías en lo que puede ser la política de defensa, en ampliar el presupuesto de la política que al fin y al cabo supone el armamentismo y, por otro lado, no seamos capaces de ponernos de acuerdo en una política agraria que siga beneficiando a los agricultores de nuestra comunidad europea.
Gracias. Thomas Schmidt.
Ja, vielen Dank, Frau Präsidentin, Herr Kommissar. Herzlichen Dank für die Worte. Ein Punkt, der schon mehrmals angesprochen worden ist, möchte ich noch einmal vertiefen. Das ist die ländliche Entwicklung. Wir brauchen Akzeptanz zur Europäischen Union. Und die stellen wir auf unseren Dörfern her, indem wir etwas sichtbar machen. Und das machen wir durch die ländliche Entwicklung. Und wenn wir den LEADER-Ansatz umsetzen, dann gelingt es auch, die Menschen einzubeziehen, dass sie selber nach eigenen Strategien deutlich machen können, wie sie die Gelder einsetzen, was sie fördern, was in ihrer Region, in ihrem Dorf am wichtigsten ist. Und deshalb brauchen wir ein klares Bekenntnis zu diesem Zwei-Säulen-Modell. Wir brauchen ein Bekenntnis zu Mitteln für die ländliche Entwicklung und wir brauchen eine Freiheit für die LEADER-Aktionsgruppen, um ihre Regionen gestalten zu können. Und ein Aspekt, der ist noch nicht angesprochen worden, möchte ich hier betonen. Wenn wir die Ballungsräume, wenn wir unsere großen Städte entlasten wollen, die Wohnungsmärkte, die Gewerbemärkte ebenso, gibt es nur ein realistisches Ventil. Und das ist eine gezielte ländliche Entwicklung, dass die Menschen dort ihre Zukunft suchen. Vielen Dank.
Danke. We will close now with the young elected politician. It's Giuseppe Terrone. A minute. Then, okay, to Sven Radim. Yes. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. I would like to follow my predecessor. I would like to encourage to think also about the non-agricultural rural development, because we really need to think about the people living in the rural areas and to fulfill the long-term vision for rural areas, because I think it's crucial to fulfill the challenges the rural areas are facing. We do have the instruments, but unfortunately we are not using them. It was mentioned, Leaders LLD, for example, smart villages and other instruments, and I would like to be very happy also, for example, Rural Pact, and it would be great to use them. And finally, rural areas are not a museum, and we need a holistic approach to rural areas, you know. So we need not just common agricultural policy, but we also do need cohesion policy and other policies to be used to fulfill the challenges the rural areas are facing. So we are waiting for the 16th of July to see how rural areas will be taken, and I think we need really a holistic and strong approach to develop the rural areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm closing now the debate, and I will give back the floor to Commissioner HANSEN.
Thank you very much, Madam President. And I would like to conclude as well by sincerely thanking you for your valuable insights. Especially I want to thank the two rapporteurs for their very valuable opinions. But please let me the opportunity to react on some of the points. I think that is very important. Maybe on the common agriculture policy itself. I think somebody has mentioned we have it now for more than 60 years, and I think over this more than 6 decades, the common agriculture policy has clearly shown that it delivers as well on the treaty objectives, because we have in the treaties the food sovereignty and food security is one of the aspects, fair income for farmers is the other one, and affordable food for our citizens is a third treaty requirement, and I think the common agriculture policy managed to deliver on this, and I think this is due not only to the income policy but as well to the other tools as well in the second pillar of the common agriculture policy, and therefore I think it would be unwise to throw overboard this toolbox that we currently have. Then of course I think when some of you mentioned the important, Mr. Karachasny for example mentioned the importance of income policy, here the political guidelines by the President von der Leyen herself are very clear that she will always stand and fight for an income policy for our farmers, and I think that is very important to know. And then on a more personal note, I think there is, and somebody of you mentioned it, that it would be unwise as well to shifting the priorities to abandon part of the agriculture for our defense and security. I think you are completely right. That would be an enormous mistake, and I can tell you I traveled in the 19 member states I've been for example in the 3 Baltic states, I've been in Finland. They have common borders with Russia. Finland has 1,340 kilometers of common borders with Russia. And I clearly say, what would be in these regions if there wasn't agriculture and forestry and the related economic presence, the infrastructure in the rural areas, and as well the people that are living there. That would be a serious security problem for the European Union in the current context. And I think there we have to say that the common agriculture policy does not only deliver on food security, it delivers as well in these regions very and pretty much on physical security. And also I think our farmers have a huge untapped potential when it comes to energy production. And I think that is something we need to leverage wisely as well, that our farmers can become as well energy farmers, and that they will have an additional income there and contribute as well to energy security, because that is another big point, I think, where we need to be more independent. And therefore I always say, some people are arguing 1/3 of the EU budget for agriculture, that's too much. But when we have a closer look, this represents 0.3% of our GDP. And I think that is not too much to contribute to food security, to contribute to physical security, and to contribute to energy security. And I think especially now we have to be aware in this tense geopolitical landscape that we have, that this food security is not something we should take for granted. And personally, I will never want to depend on third country imports, on the quality and on the quantity of food, and I think we have to maintain this, and therefore the common agriculture policy has all its relevance maintained. And I think the challenges, as I mentioned before, are not becoming smaller. We have the geopolitical pressure, we have the climate change pressure on our sector, we have animal diseases, so the pressure is getting bigger, and therefore it would be hugely unwise and irresponsible to leave this out of our hands. That's my general remark on the common agriculture policy. And I think this replies to many of you that rightly so pushed to have a strong rural development part and instruments for the future as well. Then maybe on some more details, Madam Rapporteur, you mentioned as well the international trade, and I think there the vision for the future of agriculture and food gives already a lot of replies that need, of course, now to be put into practice. And one part you mentioned is the part on the production standards, and I think the vision highlights very clearly that, for example, when it comes to plant protection products, if we ban them for good scientific reasons in the European Union, because they are bad for human health, they are bad for pollinators, well, if they are bad inside the EU, they are as well bad outside the EU. So it's not explainable to our citizens, our consumers and our farmers why these products can still come in, and that is why I work very closely with my colleague Oliver Vareli as well to establish a list of those pesticides that shouldn't be allowed back in. And this is reciprocity in action. I don't want to call it mirror clauses, because mirror clauses is a little bit, let's say, we are imposed to the world, but when we have scientific reasons, then this reciprocity needs to be put in practice. Then Mr. Mani from the beautiful Emilia-Romagna region mentioned as well the importance of to put productivity back at the center of the discussion. And I think this is as well something that we clearly state with our vision, because when we speak about giving a future and predictability, it is not, and our farmers know best, that they need to protect the soil, that they need to protect water, that climate change is a reality. But for me, sustainability has three pillars. It's not only environment, it is as well the social part that is very important, the social sustainability and the economic sustainability, because the farmer in the end needs to be able to make a living out of the production. So these three pillars of sustainability need to be rightly balanced in order to make it happen. Then I have some other points, I think, where there is a consensus in the Committee of the Regions as well, is the necessity to better support our young farmers. I think that was very clear. Somebody said as well the figure of 5% instead of the 3%. We just need to be aware, let's suppose the budget stays the same. If we give 2% more, we have to take it away somewhere else. Otherwise, this is not going to work. So I think we have as well, in that context, to openly speak about degressivity and eventually as well about capping of payments, because this will as well allow to get this margin to reshift it where it is mostly needed. And that is something I said in the beginning. I think we really need, and this was as well a conclusion by the strategic dialogue report, that our limited support that we can give through the CAP needs to be better targeted to those most at need. And for me, if you ask me who is most at need, it's the young and new farmers, it's the family and mixed farms that are around and small farmers, and it's the farms in regions with natural constraints. And there Mrs. Maupertuis mentioned as well the coupled aid, and that should be revised. Of course, we will have problems with that when it comes to the WTO compatibility, but nonetheless I think we have to reflect again on that. I agree with you, especially since in certain sectors we have huge challenges. And here I would like to mention one of the sectors that is heavily under pressure for several reasons. It is the livestock sector, and that is why we launched as well the livestock strategy on the 8th of May when I had the conference on the vision for the future of agriculture and food, because the livestock has gone down in the European Union by 7.8% over the last 10 years. For several reasons, there is of course in certain member states political pressure to reduce the livestock. In others, it's mainly Cyprus. It is because of droughts and the lack of water. In others, it's just because it is a heavy and exhausting job to have livestock. And those farmers who stop with livestock, it's very unlikely that those who continue afterwards are continuing with livestock. So I think we need to pay a particular attention to the livestock sector and give again hope for them, because I think as well it is sometimes livestock is put a little bit into the dark corner of the room. I think that is a mistake, because livestock has many positive externalities when it comes, for example, to organic fertilizers, but as well in certain regions. I'm coming from a region in the north of Luxembourg, and there in many slopes and hills, the best you can do is have permanent grassland, and there livestock is the best. The same goes when you go to the Alps, for example, where livestock is the only thing you can do to use the grass and to have as well to free, let's say, our landscapes a little bit, because otherwise there will be bushes, there will be less biodiversity, and I think these positive externalities need to be considered as well. The President tells me to cut short. Maybe a last point that is very important for the rural areas as well, that we haven't discussed here today, is bioeconomy, because I think in bioeconomy lies a lot of potential for our farmers and foresters for the future, and as well for high quality jobs in the rural areas. And there afterwards you will see my colleague Jessica Roswell, who is in the lead there, but of course I'm contributing there because farmers are often as well the forest owners, and I think this potential we need to leverage as well to generate additional income, but as well to create high quality jobs in rural areas. But this we keep it then maybe for a future plenary, and I would like to thank you very much for your valuable input. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. We usually have symbolic wine, things symbolic presents, and we have one thing that we don't agree on here, only one thing. That's who has the best wine. That is the still debate.
Luxembourg.
So this is why I chose a wine that says tutto. Okay, and it is from Italy. I visited the region. It is from an ecologic production, absolutely local, biologically sustainable. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.